There are more than 70 schools playing high school football in the WCIA 3 viewing area. That adds up to hundreds of games per year. We'll spotlight some of the best ones throughout the season and our game of the week. But you don't have to look very far to find some fantastic matchups. These are all in week one. The Cola Wars back again with Tuscola hosting the Purple Riders tomorrow night. The last Leonard Bowl will have a special feel to it and a lot of eyes on it in Springfield. And two great games involving Apollo teams. Mahomet-Seymour gets another crack at Morton after the Potters knocked them out of the playoffs last year in the quarterfinals. And speaking of revenge, Effingham looking for just that against St. Teresa after losing to the Bulldogs last season. We are pleased to be joined now by 4 of the 7 Apollo head coaches: Mahomet-Seymour's John Adkins, Effingham's Bret Hefner, Charleston's Jarad Payne, and the new man in the conference, Mattoon's Jarad Kimbro. Guys, thanks for your time being here today. Really appreciate it, as we are just 24 hours away now from the season getting started. And we'll start with you, John, the defending champs. What do you like about your team this year, and how do you embrace the pressure of trying to defend the title?
Yeah, no doubt. All off season, we've kind of told our kids that, you know, we got a target on our back because everybody's going to give us their best game this year, like you said, being the defending champs. But we definitely like where we're at. You know, again, we've had a great off season so far, and being able to return the experience you know, that we have from last year's championship team, looking to try to do it again this year for sure.
Before last season, Effingham and Mount Zion combined to win 4 out of the prior 5 Apollo titles. Brett, I know you had a young roster last year. What are you looking to build on from that this time around?
Well, I think the big thing is we do have a lot of kids back, so a lot of experience back. We'll have 22, 23 seniors and 16 juniors, and we've got upper 20s and sophomores. So a number of kids back. I think the experience we gained, I think it's important. Our quarterback, Tanner Pontius, is back. We got a number of kids back up front. Picked up a pretty good transfer, young man by the name of Jack Harper that moved in from out in Colorado. He's a heck of a baseball player that athletically has been a great addition to our program. So looking for some big things from a lot of guys back.
Jerry, after putting together a solid spring COVID-19 season, unfortunate that couldn't translate into any playoff opportunity there. What's important for you after taking a small step back next season to get back to where you want to be?
Well, last year we didn't have a lot of senior experience. This year we've got 3 seniors, but we have 25 juniors and 20 sophomores. So we're going to be young, but when you look at those juniors, a lot of them played as sophomores. So we're going to have some experience. We've been working on competing. We tell our guys, compete. We got to look for that first game, to win that first game, whichever one it is, and that's kind of where we're at.
You're new to the conference, so to speak, at least as a head coach, Jarad, but you're no stranger to playing in the Apollo and having that experience. How do you take your longtime assistant under Troy Johnson, and how do you embrace that into your own program? What do you want to bring?
I'd say one of the things I bring is just a little bit more intensity to practice. I expect things to be done a certain way, and I try to hold the kids accountable to that. Up to this point, they've done a fantastic job with that, and we're looking for some big things this season.
After playing all your home games at EIU last year, you get a turf field this year, right? I know Effingham, a new turf field as well. For both of you guys, what does that mean to have a new place to play this year?
Well, I think as far as for us, you know, that adds to the excitement of everything that's going on. We've got a ton of construction going on at the high school just in general, but the field and the new video board, it's just a great way to get people out and back excited about football in general, not just in Mattoon.
You guys have all been around the program a long time. Well, go ahead. Yeah.
I was just going to say it's the same thing for us. Even the excitement that's been around it, the community involvement in it. You know, so on our end of it, half of it was donation, half of it was school. So you know, to have that excitement again, same thing, video board, and that I think just creates more interest in your program.
Yeah, I can't wait for Friday night. It's going to be here, and it's going to be fun, a fun 9-week stretch. You guys have been around the game for a long time, a lot of combined experience. But, Jerry, how have you seen the game change here, maybe in the last 5 years? I know COVID played a part in that, but low participation numbers, COVID, I know all of you guys are fighting to get kids out for the game. As a whole, where is the game at in your eyes, and where do you see it going, more importantly?
You know, I think most schools are going to be able to hang on. I know we got a school here recently that said they aren't going to play any varsity games. That's kind of tough to see that. But we stayed about the same in Charleston. We've not grown any. You know, we lose 13 seniors, and then we get a good bunch of freshmen. Now, this year, I'm going to lose 3 seniors, but my next group of freshmen is going to be in the 20s. So I've seen a lot of changes in safety, things like that, helmet safety, shoulder pad safety, just player safety all the way around. So that's been good.
What about the rest of you guys? John, how have you seen the game change in that sense?
For us personally, I mean, we've seen at Mahomet-Seymour now that kind of the success breeds success. You know, our numbers in our youth program are the highest they've ever been. You know, we're going to be able to field all 4 teams individually. I think they said over 110, you know, kids out for the MSYF this year. So, again, I think because of the success that our team had last year and everything that we've been building for is that trickle-down effect, and little kids are not only seeing it on Friday nights, but now wanting to go do it on Saturdays.
Yeah. Brett?
Well, I would agree. I would agree with that. I think getting back to, you mentioned facilities earlier, this is a big thing. You know, with us, with having the turf in the spring, even it allows us to have a 7-on-7 league or a flag football league with our kids because, you know, like for us in Effingham, a number of our better athletes may not even play youth football because they're playing junior high baseball. And so from a number standpoint, some of the things that we fight are that perception of, well, I didn't play it growing up, so I don't, you know, am I behind the other guys? So this gives us a chance in the spring to have a spring league that we can control. And use the turf to our advantage in the offseason.
How do you guys feel, and Jarad, well, you know, have an input on this, about youth football? It seems to get younger and younger all the time playing tackle football. Is that needed, or are you okay with kids playing other sports and maybe not starting until junior high?
I'm a huge fan of playing multiple sports. You've got to. That's how you develop athletes. But at the same time, I tell our youth coaches, I don't care what you run, just make them love the game, period. You know, what you want to do is what you want to do. That's fine. Just make them love the game because that's what keeps them playing as they get older.
Yeah, because I've seen burnout in that as well. You have kids that maybe play 3rd, 4th, 5th grade, and then by the time they get to varsity at you guys, they don't want to play anymore.
I've seen it over the years too. Like, you don't have to play 3rd grade to go play college football, right? Like, it's sometimes the kids who kind of even wait till their sophomore or junior or even senior year for that matter to come out for the first time to experience it, then they develop still that love that they have, and they're talented enough that they do end up getting those college scholarships.
Yeah.
I'll just touch back on that multiple sports. That's the biggest change I've seen over the years. There's too many kids that decide, I'm just going to play this sport. I mean, in Charleston, we've had some boys that if I sit down and added up the baseball games they played since the spring until now, some of them have played more games than the Cardinals and Cubs have played, getting paid millions of dollars
Crazy,
to go play.
right?
It's nuts. And, I'll still remember Jack Clark. To this day, I went to a Cardinal caravan, and somebody said, what sports did you play? He said, well, gee, I played basketball, I played baseball, I played football, I even bowled. In college, I bowled just so I had something to do. So we've kind of lost that a little bit. There's too much specialization right now where they could go play all sports and do well.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And a big topic, at least nationally, is alignment and conference realignments and moving and shaking. That starts from the top down. It has an effect on the high school as well. How have you guys seen that play into it? Because we were districts for a while, and then we weren't, and now it seems like the drive to get to 5 is alive as it was 5 years ago or 10 years ago.
Yeah, I think, like from our standpoint, we talked about it a little bit, is if you've had success, it's hard to find games, and that's the hard part. So, and it's everybody's going to be whatever their situation is. So if somebody's got a closed conference and they don't have to worry about scheduling games, easy. Or if they got 2 divisions of 6 and there's crossovers, it's easy. But for us in the Apollo, especially with Lincoln leaving, and now you got to try and schedule 4 games. And to try and schedule 4 non-conference games, if you've had any success at all, is difficult because, like you said, everybody's chasing the same thing. We're all chasing wins. We are too. You know, everybody is. And so that part of it is a little bit frustrating. So selfishly, like from our standpoint, I'd be all in favor of districts. You know, I had a little bit of experience. I had 2 years in Missouri where we were districts. And so I think, but those teams that don't have to schedule games, I understand why they're not. But I think from a whole standpoint, because the conference jumping, and it's not a popular thing to say, but it controls every other sports scheduling. And there's conferences now that probably wouldn't be conferences if you had districts, that the conferences for the other sports would go back a little bit more to normal geographically. At least that's kind of my thought on it.
So where's the end game? It's a great question, right?
If we knew that answer, we wouldn't be sitting here.
Yeah,
We'd be
right?
sitting someplace making decisions.
So does it stop in that sense? I mean, as a coach, it's frustrating. As an AD, I'm sure it's frustrating. Like, what do you?
I don't know. I think the people that want districts would prefer the IHSA just to make the decision and say,
Sure,
we're going to districts. Like, I don't, you know, but again, I don't know the rules of it. I don't know, like, what has to be a member vote, what doesn't. You know, we've changed classes before, 2 classes to 4 classes, 6 classes to 8 classes in football. You know, I don't know if there's been a member vote or not, but selfishly, like, if you have to schedule games in this part of the state, it's difficult. The suburb schools, the number of schools that are up there, maybe not an issue to schedule games.
And it is tough. We had our first game forfeited last year because of COVID, and we were looking for games, and the only ones we could get were teams that were 3 classes above us, like Class 7 and 8A, and we're saying, well, no, we don't want to do that. That just could demoralize our kids and get kids hurt.
sure.
So you can't find those games, and we finally just took the forfeit and just had a special night on the field that night.
Yeah, certainly tough moving forward. One thing we've heard Illinois head coach Bret Beherns talk a lot about is connecting with you guys. It's been a year out and a half now from when he was hired. What has that connection been since then? There was this big buzz early. Do you guys feel that connection to Illinois? And if Illinois is good, does that help you guys as far as the game and the state school being good at football?
Go ahead, John.
Me personally, being 8 minutes down the road, it absolutely does, you know. And again, like you mentioned earlier, you know, I'll never forget, I took a couple kids to a camp, and Bret came up and shook my hand and acted like we've been friends for a while. And again, that's the connection or the relationship that he's trying to develop with all coaches across the state of Illinois. And not only is he doing it, but his staff's doing it as well. We've had multiple, you know, of his assistants in and out of our building, you know, shaking hands, greeting our secretaries. Again, just trying to promote not only Illinois football, but themselves as well. And again, kind of mend that connection that maybe was once lost.
Yeah, what does that mean for you, Jarad, especially as a first-year coach?
We haven't had that, but we've had it from Eastern. Eastern's been in touch quite a bit, actually, just wanting to get their kids out into the community also, just to help, again, build that connection to the university and just in football in general, because their numbers as far as attendance are way down as usual. So the more local people they can get there, the happier they will be, I'm sure.
Yeah, first-year coach Chris Wilkerson, how have you seen that, Jerry?
That's been great. He came in, made contact with me. We discussed quite a few things. One of my last year's player got asked to be a walk-on with him, Brody Rankin. Reed Littleford is now back working with the athletic department there, who is a former Charleston player. And then another big, huge step is Cole Hoover from Charleston is now the offensive line assistant coach, working with their coaches there. So it's been big for us. The only connection we've had with the U of I is that one of my running back coaches made contact with their running back coach, and they've been sharing emails back and forth. And I understand we're far enough away. That's okay. But I'm like Jarad. Eastern has been great with us. Once he came in, he really wants to get Eastern on the map, and he's working hard to get that local commitment from everybody.
That's great, because you're not going to have a Power 5 talent every year, most likely, but when you have it, we'd love to see them stay in state, right, and play for their home state school if that's what that kid wants to do. Gentlemen, thanks so much for your time.